I think the reason most people want to be at a good weight and not really worry about what they're eating all the time is because at the end of the day, they just want to look better and feel better and just have a happier lifestyle and be much healthier. My name is Rob Sugar, and today in this short video, I want to show you two new things you can do right now to actually stop eating too much or eating the wrong types of foods, maybe emotional eating or eating too much at night, without having to use discipline or willpower. And I want to show you how to lose weight and feel better without traditional dieting. Now, scientific research shows that we have specific thoughts in our subconscious mind that actually controls what you eat and affects your ability to lose weight. And so the most effective way to change your eating habits and to lose weight permanently is obviously to change how you think. Now, you might be wondering, what thoughts should you actually change? The first and absolutely critical thought pattern is your relationship to food, how you speak to food, how you relate to food and your body. And so there are two modes where people reside. One is a diet mentality and one is more of a neutral mentality. Now, a diet mentality, for example, do you ever say to yourself, I shouldn't be eating this, and then you say, I'll just eat this now and be good tomorrow? Sound familiar? Or you feel like you lack control, or you feel guilty when you've eaten things, or you're eating secretly. Now, all of those ways of being, and there are of course others, create a diet mentality. And what happens here is that the more you act in that manner of diet, controlling, resisting, restricting, although it might work in the short term, inevitably we go off track and, I've blown it for the day, I might as well just finish it off, and then we start back again. And this cycle will continue perpetually. What we need to do is to create a much more moderate way of behaving around food. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an analogy on that. Let's imagine for a moment your favorite types of foods. Could be chocolate, ice cream, candy, and let's say as you were growing up as a child, your family owned a little shop and they made the best ice cream, fresh, candies, cookies, you name it, they made it. It was the best in the city. And as you were growing up, you were free to go in there anytime you wanted and just enjoy it as much as you want whenever you want. And all of a sudden, one day, they sit you down and say, look, from this moment on, you are not allowed to actually be in the store. You can't have any sweets. We're hiring a private detective to follow you around to make sure that you never do. Now, of course, that's a ridiculous story. But what do you think would happen to your desire for these sweets when you're restricted? Well, obviously, your desire would go stronger, and you'd want it even more. Now, this is the exact behavior that a typical person in diet mentality has. It's up and down, up and down, up and down, and this will continue until you change your relationship to food and how you think about food. And so let's use our example and take it a step further. Let's say, for argument's sake, that somebody orders all kinds of these cakes and cookies. They're having a party, they pay in advance, and your family's away. And at the last minute, they cancel the party, and the manager in charge of his shop's just stuck with it all. He's just pulled the cake out of the oven, and it smells great, fresh chocolate, everything's wonderful. And so he's just about to throw it out because he doesn't know what to do with it. And so you're walking by, and the two of you are friends, and he comes over and says to you, look, I'm just about to throw this great stuff in the garbage. I know you love it. You can have as much as you want right now, but you can't tell anybody, and this is a one-time only chance because you're not allowed here. How much do you think you would eat compared to when you were free to eat as much as you want whenever you want? Well, obviously, you probably have as much as you can because, of course, tomorrow you've got to start being deprived again. And this is how the typical dieter behaves. Good and bad, off and on, and it will continue until you change your relationship with food. Now, taking that story a step further, let's say a year passes, you've been deprived, you've been followed by this private detective, you haven't had any of this. and your family sits you down and says, look, we've reconsidered, you're now allowed back in the place, you can have as much as you want again, anytime you want, enjoy. And so initially, you might be a little surprised, and you may overindulge for a few days or weeks or even longer because you've been deprived. But let's assume that you're still free for weeks and months, and after a period of, let's say, a year, and now you've been in there every single day or as much as you want. From that moment on, after that year of freedom, each time you went into the store, how much do you think you would want to eat compared to when you had that one-time only chance? Well, obviously, you would want to eat a lot less because you can go back in 5 minutes. And that wouldn't require discipline or willpower. It would just be natural. And that's exactly what needs to happen. You need to change your thinking in order to change your behavior. And so the question now is, how do you do that? How do you actually change your thinking? Well, let's look at that right now. We talked briefly about this diet mentality, okay? And there are 7 things that people traditionally say to themselves or behave towards food that keeps them in this diet mentality, which then just keeps this up and down going on. So each day, each time you find yourself in this diet way of thinking, and we can talk a little bit more about that in a minute, you need to just very gently shift it to a neutral way of thinking. And if you do that for a minute or 2 each day and change your language, change how you behave, you will find a much more neutral way that you behave around food. Most of us are not overindulging on salad and chicken and water because we don't restrict those foods. So how we think affects exactly how you behave. And in my opinion, if you've been trying to do this for some time and lose weight, the only way that you're actually going to be able to stop the up and down is by changing your relationship and getting out of this diet mentality. Now, I'm a certified psychotherapist and a master weight loss coach, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. And I actually want to show you how to change your thinking and stop that cycle of eating out of control and just depriving yourself. And so, do you want to actually know how to lose weight using a completely different approach without traditional dieting? Is that something that you think will help you? Well, you can reserve a private phone consultation with me, and I will give you a personal step-by-step guide on how to overcome the real underlying reasons that are stopping you from losing weight and actually keeping it off. Now, during the call, I'm going to show you a few techniques, which are called neurotechniques. These neurotechniques operate on the subconscious mind and the emotions. And as you begin to use these techniques, what happens is there's a real shift in your thinking and how you relate to food. And so your desire will then just very naturally just decrease to overeat or eat poorly. Because what we're doing is we're retraining your mind to think differently, which will cause you to react differently, and therefore you'll find that you're really not turning to eating the way you might right now. Now, there's no cost for the call. It's completely confidential, and you can reserve your spot below by just clicking on that button. And we'll talk about how to get you to a good weight, feeling better without worrying about what you have to eat all the time. There is hope. You can stop struggling. You can end your battle with food, beginning right here, beginning right now. Reserve a spot. I promise you you'll get a lot out of it. I'm committed to helping you find an answer, and I promise you there is one. So reserve a spot, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you. Enjoy.